Hello and very good evening. You're watching Free Press Journal live on YouTube. I'm Afrida Rahman Ali. With me is Saida Farheen Alam, who's a child psychologist. In fact, Farheen has worked in the area of child therapy for a long time. She is a Mumbai based senior child psychologist, a certified play therapist, and developmental specialist with dedicated years of experience, especially in early childhood and development. She's written a book on early childhood as well that was just launched. Welcome to the program, Farheen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Farheen, of course, this discussion is about anger and aggression in high school kids, and I'm sure you would have dealt with children and their parents who go through these issues when children have anger management issues. The case in Ahmedabad is, as it turns out, a case of a child attacking a senior in the same school in a fit of rage. And if you saw the entire sequence as you and
Yeah.
me were discussing this case, that here is a boy who simply wanted to assert who he is, and I'll show you who
Mhm.
I am, and then he goes and stabs this 10th standard student.
Mm.
Typically, in a case like this, what is your analysis?
What I feel that during adolescent, the child, children, they deal with many struggles, like about self-esteem, identity formation, and a lack of coping skills. And when these struggles are not dealt with in a very healthy,
Hmm.
in a healthy manner, then we
Hmm.
can see that these get manifested into aggression and
Yeah.
bullying and violent thoughts and violent behaviors. And in this case, the very need the child felt, the accused felt, to prove himself, that look, I will show you who you are. This shows that there are much actually deeper psychological issues, underlying psychological issues. There's completely absence of empathy. There's
Hmm.
completely
Hmm.
there's absence of coping skills, and also low self-esteem.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, that's all. And also, very important is the family environment, the environment in which the child, not just family, maybe the peer environment or the family environment in which the child has grown. Maybe aggression or dominance
Yeah.
has, that's the common way of dealing with conflict, like. So yeah.
Yeah. Farhan, you have made some very important points. And what I also want to understand from you is that parents, when they deal with, I have a teenage son myself. And what I see, and please correct me if I'm wrong, what I see is that the streak of arrogance in various degrees is present in children of this age group.
Yeah.
They have a bit of an attitude. They want to be by themselves. But what worries me, Farheen, I'll tell you, is that they seem to be in their own world, and most of the time parents do not have access to that and what goes on in that world. For instance, a teenage boy is, say, into video games, and these are violent video games, right? He goes into this parallel universe where there is a lot of violent action, and so he
Hmm.
lives in that universe. It's only for a little bit that he exits that universe and comes to the real world, and he goes back to that universe of gaming and these you have to kill to win sort of an
Yeah.
environment. Do you think that has an impact, the way gaming and online influence that we see in children these days, in adolescent these days?
Yeah, I think definitely this violent games, that's nowadays are very common. In it's very commonly found in online, and most of the children, they actually like these games nowadays. And yeah, and killing, it's associated with winning, right? So what is
Yes.
happening in their brain is, like, violence is equal to power, violence is equal to respect, violence is equal to maybe strength, strong.
Hmm.
They want to show themselves stronger by putting their points, and when their points, or when their ego or their identity is being threatened, then we can see that such extreme cases of violence happens. And
Hmm. Hmm.
that's the reason I think this particular child uh, was threatened by the small, just who are you? The victim has just
Hmm.
asked him,
Hmm.
who are you? He wanted to
Hmm.
prove, and maybe all of that, what he was thinking, like, okay, I will show him who am I. So I think he was in an environment, he was grown in an environment in which this violence and dominance equate power, maybe, or
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And of
This is
course, what
very important what you said, that violence and dominance equate power. That could have been the reason that, what you said, and I think it's a very important thing to underline, that the accused was somebody who
yeah,
constantly felt threatened, and perhaps here is a case of that reaching a threshold that he crossed that barrier, and he committed a crime of this nature. But we are trying to understand from you the environment, the factors, the triggers, Farheen, and what should a parent do then? When should a parent detect this sort of behavioral pattern? What help can one seek? What are those signs that one should look out for?
yeah, I think first of all, the parents, the child should see the parents not as an authority figure, but someone with whom they can share, uh,
Hmm.
you know, regardless of, uh, they can share anything, right? Regardless of whether it is a good information or a bad information. But parents should give that space to the child, because, nowadays, why? Because, of course, this is something that, we are not able to stop child going into the video game world, and then
Hmm. Hmm.
playing violent games, and then they themselves becoming aggressive because of all the stimulation that they keep getting, with hours
Hmm.
spending in the online games. So it's like the stimulation is already very violent, and what parents can do is, um, just create a safe environment for the child to
Hmm.
speak, regardless of any kind of information. And
Hmm.
secondly, parents should also see the red flags. If the child
Hmm.
is drawing, suppose
Hmm.
there's fantasies and drawings which is
Hmm.
very aggressive or violent drawings, then
Hmm.
they should seek somebody, to help the child, because in most of the cases the child might not be comfortable sharing some things with the parents. So I think this counseling service is very important. But again,
Hmm.
in India there's a stigma, right, of not going to
Yes.
the counselor. So there's again a
Yes.
huge obstacle which is there, and which we also
Hmm.
face, like,
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
child psychologist, I also face
Hmm.
that there are very few people actually resort to child psychologist, to get these issues fixed. Most of
Hmm.
my clients, they are kids on the autism, but neurotypicals coming to me are very less. The reason is the stigma. I think the parents
Hmm.
and the environment and the entire society should see that going to counseling is just going to tuition, right? We don't see
Hmm. Hmm.
tuitions as stigma. Everybody goes to tuition,
Hmm.
but going to a counselor is seen as stigma. And that's the reason I think some things are, there will be a gap, there will always be a gap if psychological intervention is not provided, especially in this world where there's so much aggressive stimulation is present in the world.
It's so important, Farin, how you have put it in the right perspective. I really appreciate that, because what you're saying here, again, I hope that this clears the air for a lot of parents out there who are very eager to hire a tutor for their child, because the child needs help with studies. After all, academic brilliance is what the world recognizes. Academic
Exactly.
record is what the world recognizes. So you will go to any extent to get the best tutor for your child. You never think that probably what your child needs is a counselor, even more than a tutor, to correct
Yeah,
those behavioral
exactly.
patterns, or to ensure that the child does not go down that wrong path, or go down that slippery slope. if you see the early flags. And that's something I want to ask you in conclusion, Farheen, that when you say that notice the red flags early, is what you said, that means childhood, the early childhood, which is your area of expertise. The early childhood, therefore, is extremely critical.
Yeah.
What are the steps one should take, parents should take to be cautious at this stage? Just give us, because you've written a book on this phase of life in raising children. Show us the book, Farhin. Why don't you let my audience also take a look at the book? It's called Thousand Days That Shape a Lifetime. So you have written this book on early childhood and how a parent
Yes.
can sort of steer the journey of a child. It's a very
Yes.
interesting book. I read a little bit of it, and thanks very much for sending me the book as well. Tell me, what are the red flags that you talk about? No, I was talking about early childhood now. Now we are talking about how the early childhood is critical. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that, where a parent can actually exercise caution.
So first of all, that that critical the golden window, which I have written on my book, is 1 to 3 years of age, in which 85 to 90% of the brain development happens, and during that age, I think a lot of positive stimulation is required. So you know, suppose a parents are fighting amongst themselves, thinking that the child is 2 years old, what will he understand?
Mhm.
But it's not like that.
Mhm.
The child is getting the stimulation, and the child is getting that aggression somewhere or
Mhm.
the other. I won't say that every child getting such stimulation will become an aggressive person, but it affects. And if too much
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
aggressive episodes, if it happens at home, then the child is going to become an aggressive child. Firstly,
Mhm. Mhm.
secondly, I think poor like low self esteem. Okay, in this case, whatever study I did, so this was found like there's a low self esteem. Low self esteem is associated with aggression. So why low self
Mhm.
esteem happens at this age, in this critical age, which actually extends to 6 years also? Many of the parents, they use this word, no, don't do it, mat karo, don't do it. So instead of using don't do it, the parents can give the alternatives, like
Okay.
instead of that, can you do that? Because if you're just completely always saying the child not to do anything, it is just lowering the self esteem. And secondly, if the child is doing some aggressive act, for example, and the child the parents are saying, stop crying, or no, do not hit. Yeah, of course, every parents will say don't hit. But instead of that, why are you hitting? Why are you crying? So if they try to find out, if they try to give the space, like, what is wrong? I understand you
Mm.
are feeling, I think something is wrong with you. Tell me, what is it?
And even when you say, why are you crying, the tone doesn't have to be like you're chiding the child. It can be, why are
Exactly.
you crying? When the way
Exactly.
you are asking a child, as if like you're making
Yes.
an appeal to explain to you. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be an admonition or a scolding, right?
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
in that context, the
Absolutely.
tone matters.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also the acknowledging the emotion. Because see, aggression, anger, everybody has anger and aggression. But how you respond to it, that is different in every individual.
Mhm.
So if a
So, what
child,
are the good things to do then? Let's conclude with that. Like the top five things you recommend parents must do, must follow, uh,
okay,
in order to ensure that the child does not develop a very aggressive streak or an arrogant streak. Are there some
firstly,
golden rules?
so not golden rules, just whatever rules are coming into my mind, I'll just,
Sure, sure,
saying.
sure.
So first is, of course, modeling positive behavior, and as much as possible, do not model aggressive behavior in front
Mhm.
of the child. First is this. Second
Mhm.
is,
Mhm.
the do not if the child is showing an emotion, crying emotion, aggression emotion, give that space to the child, and do not stop the child from doing that. Instead, just sit with the child, try to be the counselor. Like, what is it?
Mhm.
Acknowledge the emotion, do not
Mhm.
stop the emotion. Because
Okay.
if you're stopping the emotion, the child is stopping at that point of time, but the emotion is not gone. Deep inside, the emotion will again come, and if it's
Hmm.
aggressive will come even more, right? Because it's negative.
Yeah. Mm.
Uh, Third is again, I think it has related, aggression is related with self-esteem. So, uh, try to develop a higher self-esteem of the child by stop saying no to the child. If the child is trying to do, suppose a child is trying to eat something and he's just staining his clothes, do not stop the child. It's okay, you can just wash the clothes, but the child is trying something, so don't stop it. It will only
Mm.
pull them down and think that, am I doing wrong? Everything I do, it's wrong. If the child
Mm.
has
Mm.
made a
Mm.
drawing, even if it is bad, just tell the child, oh, you, oh, really good try, nice. I'm not saying that just lie
Mm.
to the child, it's a beautiful drawing, wow,
Mm.
good try, but don't give a negative comment.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then
So
I think,
winning the parents, winning that sort of validation from parents is important, you're saying, in the initial years. Because
yeah,
if
it
they get
is.
too much of discouragement, then that can lead to low self-esteem, that can develop into aggression. Am I getting
Yeah,
that right?
yes, 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 correct.
Mm-hmm. Farin, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time for
Yeah.
explaining to us few important points. I hope the viewers benefited from this conversation. Thanks very much. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Farin. Thank you. Well, thanks for watching, viewers. Do like, share, subscribe our videos, and of course, don't forget to press the bell notification to get notified for such content. Thanks for watching.